People in Stoke-on-Trent don't bleed blood, they bleed slip. That is what I was told growing up in the English city, lovingly known as the Potteries. My great-great-grandfather began Johnson Brothers in 1882 and helped build the UK's ceramic industry into the world's leading ceramic centre, following on in the footsteps of 17th century ceramic innovators Josiah Spode and Wedgwood. Continuing on in the 20th century, my dad, a master potter, started work at the family firm until it was bought by Wedgwood in 1968, and where he continued on until he retired in 2002. Today, I am fighting to reimagine it, not with a sense of nostalgia for the past, but because I believe that design and handmaking still matter in a modern world desperately rushing to automate and depend on AI. I am the 5th generation of a ceramic family that shaped clay, fired kilns, and built an industry by hand. But today, that industry stands on a knife's edge. During the 19th century, the Stoke-on-Trent potteries employed 40,000 people, working across 120 factories at one time, with 4,000 bottle kilns peppering the landscape. But today, there are just but a couple of handfuls of factories employing roughly 3,000 people. We are fighting to save an industry against a backdrop of liquidating factories, redundancies, the highest energy costs in Europe, and an aging workforce. If we do not protect the incredible skills that are unique to our incredible potteries, they will be lost, and lost forever. And we are not only at risk of losing an industry, but also a language of design, creativity, and community that has been passed down through generations. But we must evolve. In 2011, I formed 1882 Limited with my father as a design-driven ceramics company. At the core is progressive design and industrial craftsmanship. We produce essential objects as well as unique and limited edition pieces. But they all draw on and highlight the centuries of industrial heritage craft skills that are ingrained here in Stoke-on-Trent. Our ceramics are to be used, are to be loved, are to be desired. We celebrate the human hand in everything we do. Each collection has a different spirit because we work with a variety of leading British and international artists, designers, and even pop stars like Stoke-on-Trent's own Robbie Williams. But each piece is bound by the same making processes. We value good design, and we champion superlative quality that lasts the tests of time. So how do we at 1882 support that industry, and what can we do to make it not only survive, but thrive? Up until 2021, we outsourced all our production between factories within Stoke-on-Trent. And then the COVID pandemic happened, which threatened the future of our partner factories. And so in March 2021, we leased 6,500 square feet of the Wedgwood factory in Barlaston. That swiftly became 9,500 square feet, and we have outgrown that space again. We moved in with 4 potters and 4 kilns, and less than 4 years later, we have 23 potters and 11 kilns. I believe that we have the best workforce in Stoke-on-Trent, a team of exceptionally talented casters, potters, lithographers, engineers, and painters. However, the average age on our factory is 55. And where will we go when these wonderful skills retire? To my knowledge, there are only 2 women left in the whole of the city dedicated to the art of flower making. When they are gone, who will be left to demonstrate and teach this skill? I'm also pretty sure that there are only 2 independent rubber cases left in the city. Rubber casing is used when we make detailed and intricate pieces. Without rubber casing, the threat to our industry is very, very real. We need to find ways to entice the younger generation into our industry. Not easy when I am often told they could earn more money working in supermarkets. Apprenticeships are key. In 2022, we were fortunate enough to have the expert modeler Andy Henschel join our factory. He has 48 years of experience, and yet the Heritage Craft Association considers his skills endangered. Since then, he has been training the 30-year-old Saskia. There were only 6 modelers left in the city, and now with Saskia, there are 7. A small but exciting step forward. And then in 2023, we hired another apprentice, the 21-year-old Tom, to learn the craft of mold making, another endangered skill. And then last year, we welcomed Theo, a school leaver, to learn the skills of casting. I am acutely aware that every single person on our factory floor needs an apprentice. But there isn't any funding, and nor are there any workable apprenticeship schemes for our industry. At 1882 Limited, we have had to fund these ourselves, which has stretched our resources to the limits. And our customer base is changing too. Long gone are the days of the formal dinner service or tchotchkes on the mantelpiece and teacups and saucers saved only for best. Today, people want to mix and match pieces that reflect their own personalities and lifestyle. And that is where design comes in. Design is absolutely essential for the success of our industry. I'm talking forward-thinking, groundbreaking, arresting, exciting, relevant design. Not rehashes of old shapes, patterns, and styles that use existing molds and old pattern decoration. I'm talking about innovative, unexpected, relevant pieces that take our customers to the 21st century and beyond. In the last 10 years, we have worked with fashion designers Paul Smith and Giles Deacon, the minimalist architect, John Pawson, the pop star, Robbie Williams, the Oscar-winning set designer, Shona Heath, the furniture designer, Max Lamb, and the colour-obsessed design polymath, Yinka Ilori. Everything we make tests the boundaries of the material, the form, and ingenuity. Take, for example, crockery by Max Lamb. Max is a process-driven designer, and rather than give a render or sketch to a modeler, Max chose to chisel blocks of plaster into the shapes he wanted. Looking like chiseled, scarred rock worn by weather and time, and affectionately nicknamed the Flintstones. But it was unlike anything our industry had ever seen before. And even with my father's connections in the city, I was told it was impossible to be made, couldn't be done. And why? Why would you want to make that in our beautiful bone china? However, with the help of Fred Hackney of Brunswick Ceramics, now run by his son Neil, Fred was famous for modelling the FA Cup, crockery came to life. Today, crockery is in the permanent collection of the Arts Décoratifs of the Louvre in Paris and the Victoria and Albert Museum. And then in 2024, again in collaboration with Max, we made a ceramic chair. Possibly not one of the most comfortable chairs, but a slip-cast chair immediately lauded for its mastery in making as well as design when it was debuted at the prestigious Design Miami show in December last year. I have never been as proud as I was welcoming people onto our stand, surrounded by the world's leading galleries, and explaining not only where on earth Stoke-on-Trent was, but that our factory had made every complex, insane, improbable, impossible ceramics on show. But where do we go from here? In the middle of the 20th century, the Johnson brothers had 5 factories employing 2,500 people, making 1 million pieces of ceramic a week. Not a month, but a week. Mechanization, recession, outsourcing to the Far East were all contributing factors to Stoke's gradual and heartbreaking decline. However, we in the Stoke-on-Trent ceramic industry understand and believe that what we do is unparalleled. We have centuries of deep-rooted creative skills and knowledge pulsing through our fingertips. And that is why we were awarded World Craft City status last year. What we need to do is harness that knowledge, emphasize that what we do is design-driven, of the highest quality, and built to last the test of time, and we can once again be the leading force in the business of industrial ceramics. Because we aren't craft. We aren't a lone potter behind a wheel, nor are we a sweatshop that mass produces bowls and cups that churn out on conveyor belt. Even the design of a modern car is still first modeled in clay. Why? Because a designer needs to physically understand how it will look and feel when you run your hands over the bonnet and sit behind the wheel. People are the heart of creativity. We are an industry of artisans that needs to be celebrated and lauded just as much as the wonderful artists and designers that we work with. A caster knows their slip, the thicks, the casting up time, the effect of weather and temperature, and also what the ceramic body can cope with. And that is all before it has even gone into a kiln. There is an inherent understanding and relationship with the natural material that cannot be written down. It is passed down from soul to soul. I believe that if we create good working environments, make interesting things, and pay relative to skill, there is so much hope, opportunity, and potential for future generations. After all, statistics shows that the creative industries contribute over £125 billion to the UK economy. And it should also be remembered that whilst we make beautiful things that last the test of time, our industry supports engineers, science, the local pubs and restaurants, the hairdresser, the postman, the nurseries and schools, and even the local oatcake shop, a savoury pancake and Stoke-on-Trent dietary staple. In Stoke-on-Trent, we have centuries of creative skills and nuance that cannot be replicated by computer, algorithm, or robot. I believe that you can tell when something is made by hand, and dare I say it, love. A mug in our factory passes through at least 10 pairs of hands and up to 20 processes before it leaves the factory. The human hand that functions thanks only to the brain and the beating heart is what brings integrity to what we do. A bit woo-woo? Possibly, but true. Our industry needs championing. Our industry desperately needs support. Stoke-on-Trent desperately needs investment because we are brilliant at what we do. There is an appetite for what we do, and we need to shout from the rooftops as to why it matters and why we are still relevant. So, next time you take a sip of tea or coffee from your favorite mug, the one that sits just right when you hold it, making whatever you're drinking even more delicious. Think about all the positive energy of the person who has gone in to help shape it, and in turn, make your day just that little bit brighter because of it. Think about our ceramics industry and help us keep those hands working. Thank you.